Today's episode of the Sunday Movie Marathon is sponsored by
Depression!
I'm not going to debate you, Jerry. I'm not going to sit here and debate. I will say this, though. Welcome to the Sunday Movie Marathon. Episode 37.
Hello.
Hi.
I didn't understand the reference.
Oh, it's Fargo.
God's sake.
Yeah.
I've not seen it in so long,
Yeah,
so I barely remember any of the
Yeah,
lines.
I watched it the other day. It's a really great movie, honestly. So good, so funny. Even though it's like one of the worst things ever. It's so horrible.
Yeah, they've been showing it at View recently for like the 30th anniversary or something.
Very random.
30th anniversary? No, wait, man. That came out in like 96.
Must be 25th, I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's got to be it. We can do mathematics, but hey, we're not here to do mathematics. It's fine. We all good on this this week? I know we missed the last week. Sorry about that, but these things happen.
Yeah, it was kind of nice to have a week off, to be fair. Because like that's the first time we've had a week off since episode 3 or something.
Yeah, we took those couple of weeks off in like October. But like, it would have felt like more of a week off if I hadn't already watched like the first 2 movies before we decided to take that week off.
Yeah, we'd watched HOWL'S Moving Castle and then saved the other 2 for the last couple of days.
But hey, got there eventually. I was at the cinema, but I wanted to talk about this like last week, but now it feels like old news to me. But I went to the cinema and I was sat there and it was like the middle of the day. And then the lights were on, and as the movie started, the lights were still on. I was like, what? What? This isn't supposed to happen. I was kind of like skeptical when the trailers were on and like the lights still weren't off. I'm like, this ain't supposed to happen. I had to like walk out of the cinema as out of the theatre as the movie had started. I'm like, God damn it. I had to get somebody and be like, what's up? And
yeah.
So yeah. But I saw, what was it? New movie called Nobody, which making the rounds. Really good movie, actually. Really good, despite the first, like, maybe even 15, 20 minutes being in... No, I wouldn't say that much. Like 10 minutes being in like bright light. So that was upsetting. But yeah, I really liked that movie. It was kind of like John Wicky, but like the main character had a personality.
Yeah, played by Bob Odenkirk, probably best known for being Saul in Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad.
Yeah, he was really good. Really great performance from him. I have not seen Breaking Bad, I've not seen Better Call Saul, but yeah, it was really great. Great acting from him. Really good character, I think. Just enough to make it like lighthearted and like really super fun. It's kind of like people talk about like switch your brain off kind of movies. Like this is like sort of that, but also like in a way that it's just like you're there to have fun. It's so fun. Lots of great action choreography and like fun set pieces and really creative kills. I would recommend it for sure.
Yeah, I really want to watch it. I just haven't got around to it yet because it's isn't it the director of Hardcore Henry, which I've also heard good things about.
That was good. That was a good one where it was like first person shooter kind of thing. Yeah. I like that movie. This one, nobody probably liked a bit more, honestly. I just thought, I think I don't know if I would say he's improved like so much as a director, but like, I mean, it's like completely different. Like, I mean, for one thing, it's not first person, so that he's got that going for it, I guess. But that was very creative. I really like the like the action in this movie. Really like the kills. Maybe sometimes like the story itself is not the best.
Sorry, there's a child screaming outside my window.
Yeah, I can hear Darcy like squeaking.
It's like really, really loud. It's like, really awkward. So I'm like, don't laugh. But then it's just like...
Damn kids.
Took me well out of it.
Yeah. I hate that. You get that a lot around here in the city life.
Like Max is just talking about this movie that he's watching, and all I can hear is the children dying.
Yeah, I don't really have like too much to say on it, honestly. It's just a really fun, solid movie. Maybe like the villains weren't like the best. It's just like kind of cliched, like, you've done pissed off the Russians. This guy's the baddest motherfucker in town. And it's like, okay, he's not that deep. Honestly, it's kind of a stereotype. I was kind of annoyed with that. If it had been a little bit better. But yeah, still fun. Still liked it. Very funny when I didn't think it was going to be. I didn't think it was going to lean so much into the comedy, but it worked. Really, really worked well.
Nice. I'm looking forward to watching it. I definitely will check it out sometime.
Yeah. 8 out of 10 from me. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Pretty very good. There were a bunch of like old people there as well, so I was like, am I in the wrong theatre? Because that's happened to me before.
Yeah, that was like when me and Darcy saw the new Spiral, the new Saw film. There was like an old couple who came in and sat near us.
I was confused by the whole thing.
I was like, well, it's the middle of the day. I guess they don't really have, like, some people just don't have anything to do in the middle of the day. Or like,
I thought you were going to say you were like in the cinema by yourself, because that happened to me and Chris when we went to see, was it Doctor Strange?
Doctor Sleep.
Whatever.
The first half of the film, they forgot to turn the lights on. And then obviously they had the person come in like halfway through to like check everyone
and they were
was
like,
okay.
Oh shit, there's two people here.
I think they just assumed no one was in there, and they just saw us in there, and they turned the lights off.
Damn. Yeah, it happens every now and again. Just got to get up and tell them.
To be fair, I don't think the lights being down for that film would have improved it, but
it didn't.
Maybe not.
I don't remember what it was called.
Don't know if you guys had anything else to talk about. Really, is like a precursor to the marathon.
No, we've not really watched anything. Nothing new's really come out except for like the new Fast and Furious movie, which
Wait,
which
did
none
you
of us
saw-
have any interest in.
Go on.
I won't even go on. I don't really want to talk about it, if I'm honest. It was bad. It wasn't good. I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie before. This was my first introduction to it. It wasn't
I love
good.
that. The first one he watches is 9 films later.
Yeah.
You
I
haven't
was
missed
surprised. I was
anything.
like, really?
Supposedly one of the weakest ones as well.
Well,
Yeah,
I've only
I
seen the
dunno.
first 2, I think. 2 or 3. And they all kind of suck, to be fair, but Tokyo Drift is okay, but only because you get the cool, like, scenery and stuff.
I've seen none of them. They just don't appeal to me.
Yeah.
Now, my old housemate liked them, so we watched them. I think they're shit,
Just-
personally. And if she hears
just
this,
like-
sorry.
Just like the Vin Diesel show, really. Like, here you go. Watch Vin Diesel drive a car and shoot some guys. I'm like, I thought it was like about cars, but like they've got these big machine guns, or like the going on these quests and adventures, and cars sometimes appear, I guess.
Yeah, it's more of a
Yeah.
gang
Really
thing,
weird.
isn't it? And the
Yeah.
cars are just there to be pretty and make chase scenes look cool.
It was so stupid, honestly. It was so implausibly stupid. Like, a guy gets shot by like 10 men, like loads of times, and like he's like in this hole, and he manages to kill all of the guys who are shooting him. He gets shot a bunch, and he just walks out, and he's like, he looks at his bulletproof vest, and he's like, okay. I laughed out loud. It was so funny. A lot of it was quite funny, to be fair. I was kind of enjoying it in a comedic sense, but at the same time, then I took it so far when it was like 2.5 hours, you know?
Yeah, it's way too long. But I guess at least you got some enjoyment out of it, even if it was ironic. It would have probably been so much worse if it was like 2.5 hours and it was just all unbearable to watch.
Yeah. I went with Connor. He wanted to see it. He didn't like it either.
That
Every
is
so often we'd like turn to each other and we'd be like, this is shit.
That is a true token of how bad a film is.
Yeah. Oh dear. But yeah, bad movie. I don't like it. Like 2 out of 10. I think I gave it. It sucked. But what I really wanted to talk about, and I didn't want to go on about bloody Fast F9 for that long, but I did see the new Pixar movie, Luca. I don't know
Oh
if you
shit,
guys
we
caught
were
that.
actually going to watch that before the podcast, but we completely forgot.
Ah.
Oh well.
Do
Oh well.
you want to watch it like for next week then, so we could save this discussion? Because I got a little bit to say about it. Yeah, okay, we can do that then. So stay tuned for episode 38 then for Luca
Where we talk
discussion.
about Pixar's Ponyo.
Yeah. I watched
looks so
Ponyo
much
for
like
the first
Ponyo.
time as well the other day.
Did you like
That-
it?
No, it sucked, man.
No, I don't like it.
It's so
It's not my favourite
boring.
one.
It's probably my least favourite film. he's
Same
done.
actually, but
Yeah.
oh, apart from Whisper of the Heart, fuck that film.
Oh no. Anyway, that's
Speaking
that.
of Japanese movies,
Speaking of-
Hey.
yep, the Japanese movies.
yeah, we've got 2 to talk about in today's episode.
Yeah, we do. Nice.
So today's theme was fantasy movies. All 3 of us went away. We all picked a fantasy movie to talk about. So let's just start off with my one. And I've had to get up the description on Letterboxd because I'm not completely sure how to describe the movie.
I don't think anyone is, to be honest.
I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the director's name because I
go
would
on.
definitely butcher it.
I'm gonna have a look at it. as well.
Nobuhiko Obayashi.
That
Yeah,
actually
that.
sounds about right, to be fair.
So I picked the film House, also known as Howsu, from 1977. This is a film about basically a girl called Gorgeous takes a trip to the country to visit her aunt at like this old house, and she invites 6 of her friends, all of them who have similarly ridiculous names, including a
What are
character
you on
called
about?
Kung Fu.
She
which I
was
love.
called Angel.
One of them
Says
was called
Gorgeous
Angel.
on here.
Yeah, there's Angel.
No, didn't you watch it? She was called Angel.
That's what I was thinking, but it says Gorgeous on
Well,
Letterboxd.
no one was called Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Yeah, no, it was like what was it? Fantasy and
Even on
Um,
IMDb it says Gorgeous. What the
what the
fuck?
hell?
Anyway.
Yeah, so you got this character who may or may not be called Gorgeous or Angel. Goes to this house with her friends to see her aunt, but things start getting weird because there's more to the old house than meets the eye, according to the description.
I like I said
Um,
according to the description.
That's just what it says. Yeah, this film is an experience, all right?
Oh,
What did you guys think of it?
I actually have no idea.
Yeah. No, I watched it like 2 times because I watched it last week. I was like, okay. I was like, okay, I kind of forgotten a little bit about what that movie was. So I watched it again. It might have been yesterday, the day before, I'm not sure. I kind of got out of it again and I was like, okay, nothing's really changed there, but okay. But, I mean, it's pretty weird, right? This is a pretty weird
Yeah.
movie. But, I mean, it's also like a comedy as well as it is like also like a horror.
Yeah, I don't know if that. It must have been
Yeah,
intentional.
it's
it was
like
too funny.
loads of different genres at once, this film.
Yeah.
There's just
It
so
was like
much
a-
going on.
It's like a children's TV show.
Yeah,
It had that kind of vibe. It had like a Balamory-like vibe,
yeah, kind
which
of.
was pretty funny. It was pretty fun. Sometimes it could get annoying, but it was, I appreciated it. It was definitely going for like comedy more than it was horror. It's so absurd and stupid.
Yeah, it wasn't scary in any way,
Yeah.
really.
No. This is my second time watching it. I actually looked up when I watched it the first time, and it's almost exactly a year apart somehow. I didn't even do that intentionally. I just happened to watch it like almost exactly a year apart.
Whoa.
That time I thought it was all right, but I wasn't like too into it because I was like, I have no fucking clue what's happening. And this time I liked it more, but I still have no clue what happened in this movie. It's just so batshit insane. Like, it starts off fairly normal. It's like very, very silly, like quite kind of loud, fast paced, bright, like a children's TV show, like Max said. And then suddenly there's just this sudden tonal shift and things just like start going crazy. There's all this like super experimental editing and shot composition, all these weird special effects going on. Like, it just gets so surreal and strange. It's just like insane.
I don't know if I could call it normal at the beginning. To be fair, it's pretty
at least compared to the rest of the film.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, even the beginning was a little bit weird, but it was like watching almost any. I don't know if you guys are into that whole like anime thing, but it was literally like watching an anime from, you know, where they do the slice of life. So like the girls all go to school and they're all like holding hands and shit. It was just like that. I was like, okay, this is normal.
Especially when you watch older ones where they are like quite cheesy like that.
Yeah, like
with the really bouncy music.
Yeah, and the hair like flits from side to side.
Really high pitched voices and stuff.
It was like that, yeah. With like the zoom ins on like the faces, or like they just like blur around the edges of the faces, like introducing them. Like, oh, isn't the teacher so cute? Okay, he like shows holidays. Up. He like drives into the playground where they're at, and he's like, "Oh, hi, girls." It's so over the top and corny, but I kind of love it. To be fair, I really liked it.
Yeah, those bits are really funny.
I do like the palette a lot, like the colours. I thought
definitely.
Like, every time you looked at the sky, it was like just blushed with like red and orange and like dark, deep blues. It did kind of look kind of anime, like you were saying, Darcy, or like those children's TV shows. You like wake up in the morning and watch.
90% of it is painted.
Yeah, it was kind of quite obvious, like a matte painting.
It looked really nice.
Was either like put behind them or like put in with green screen. It does look really nice. It's like very obvious. It's not real, but I mean, in this sort of film, you can get let that slide.
Yeah, it's a bit
it's
abstract.
Not like everything else is normal.
It's a bit bonkers. They like get off the bus like when they go into the aunt's house, and they get off, and like there's just really nice backgrounds with like painted mountains. You could tell they're painted, but it's like just like looking at the artistry that went into it all. You know, it takes so much effort to do these kinds of things. It's like, oh yeah, but it looks fake. But it's like, that's the vibe. That's kind of the vibe that it's going for. It showed like a close up of like the painted board and the sky and the grass with like words on the board when they got off of the bus. And I was like, first time I watched it, I was like, what? But that is kind of what it's going for. I do appreciate it.
I love how the film starts off with this weird intro where it's like starts in a small box, like there's like a small shot that's like entirely blue for some reason. There's also like this animated title sequence that I really like. It's like an interesting way to start the film.
Yeah. HOWL'S. I love that. With like the poster's so like shitty. It is. It's like a drawing a child would make.
Yeah.
But again, it lends to like the charm, I think.
Apparently the director wanted a lot of the film to look like a child created it. Like, he intentionally made all the special effects and stuff look unrealistic because he liked the idea of it looking like a child did it.
Yeah, you can tell with like blue screen edges, like things they're like superimposing into the frame, like the body parts or like the piano where it just like dance around on the screen. It was all really fun and arty. Although sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I feel like it could be a bit too like arty for art's sake and not like serve too much of a purpose. Or it was just like, it's a fairly short movie, but sometimes I feel like it could drag it down.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I love any time the film's just going bonkers. At any time something super strange is happening, I'm really enjoying it. But I did find there's like quite a few sequences that are quite dramatic, like melodramatic, and they're focusing on the story. And those bits I was just not really engaged at all. Those kind of, I felt like could have been cut down a little bit and made the film a lot leaner. I also think the film could have ended 5 minutes before it did, because the ending just goes on forever for no reason.
The ending didn't even feel like part of the film. It was like a music video that just broke out.
It was like
end.
It's like an epilogue that just didn't need to be there.
It just, I just don't know. It was almost like you were like following it, and you're like, this is the end of the film, and it wasn't the end of the film.
Here's another thing. Yeah.
It's just like Return of the
did
King
happen
all
a
over
lot.
again.
That was, yeah, but not like earned after like three-hour movies, you know. But yeah, I thought maybe it could go on a bit too long. I think we were talking about like, yeah, the absurdity of it, but it's just like a lot of that I gravitated towards a lot. There's the part where like Mac, who's like eating loads, and she like goes to get like the watermelon that they put in the well because it's like cold now, and then like Fantasy goes out to see where she is, and like, just she pulls up the watermelon, but it's Mac's head, and she's just like smiling at her, and then she like bites her ass.
That bit was so funny.
I'd seen that clip before, and that was what made me want to watch the film, because I was like, what the fuck is this?
And not to mention the sound that was in it, and it killed me.
Someone was speaking and they made that noise, and we both burst out laughing.
I don't think I actually stopped. I had to force myself to
laughed
stop
for like
laughing.
5 minutes straight.
We've been conditioned.
It was so
things are too funny now.
Unexpected. I think that's what it
Anytime
was.
like a character said the word "nani," I was like, "Oh, it's hilarious." It's just a word, but it's like because anime is taking it too far. It makes it so much funnier. There's a part where like the auntie, she's in this wheelchair, and then like she like the whole time she's like, oh, I can't do anything. You girls are gonna have to like clean my house and like cook the dinner for us. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll do that. And then she just like gets out of the wheelchair, and they're like, what? Why have you done that? She's like, oh, you girls have given me strength. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why is that happening? And then like there's like a Joker scene where she gets into the fridge, and then like they're like this weird cut happens and some plates smash, and then she's like up on like the roof, and she's like just doing a dance with the skeleton.
Yeah,
I love how no one questions anything in this film. They're just like, oh sure, yeah, she couldn't walk, but now she can. Cool.
This is just like one of those films where you just kind of let it do what it wants, because like there's no point questioning what's going on in this film, because otherwise you're like going to spend way too long trying to break it apart, and you're not going to really get a lot out of it.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of piano with the music that's playing. I don't know if you guys noticed, but you guys realised they did the old Welcome to the Black Parade intro with the piano. I mean, this came first, but I mean, like, come on.
The first thing that I said, I went, Chris, it sounds like the Black Parade, and he was like, yeah, the first time I saw it, I started singing along to it.
Yeah, it's like, this movie ripped off My Chemical Romance.
There's all throughout there's this like little melody that keeps repeating, and I liked it at first, but like the 100th time you hear it, I was like, okay, is there like, do they have another bit of music to play?
It was like the only bit that played as well. It was just over and over again.
Luckily, it's like a nice melody, so it never gets like super grating. But there was a point where I was like, okay, do we really need to hear this again? Until the cat sings it, and then I was like, okay, no.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Oh yes.
I love that bit with the cat singing.
I just programmed like meows into a keyboard.
So good.
Yeah, they literally just recorded this meow once and obviously pitch shifted it up and down to the different notes, and it was hilarious.
Yeah. That was really funny. Yeah. I love
forgot
that
about
cat
that.
as well.
Thank you.
When the cat showed up, I was like, oh my god, that's gorgeous. What a lovely cat. But it just like shows up.
So pretty.
It's so pretty. But I'm just like, okay, but why is it here? She's just like, oh my god, a cat. I'm going to take it. I'm like, what? And then she like takes it on the train and to her aunt's house. I'm like, that's too nice of a cat to like not belong to anyone. It's too clean.
You just stole
Why'd you just take
cat?
It? But of course the cat was behind it all. The cat was the real mastermind. And I was like, oh my god. It's like it was the cat the entire time. It orchestrated it all, and then I'm like, wait, what? How? It's a cat. Doesn't talk. It just like makes some weird noises on like the piano, and then like its eyes flash a bit. I'm like, well, I don't get it.
It was very strange. I liked the character of Kung Fu, who like does multiple Kung Fu bits throughout the film, and the way they like edit it, it's like the camera's flying all over the place, and you have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, it's my favorite character.
There's a bit where she's like chopping wood outside, and that suddenly the wood comes to life and starts attacking her. She's just doing Kung Fu. And I think both me and Darcy were like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, she was my favorite character. I loved her so much. It's just like, and there was so many problems that she encountered, and she was like, I know the answer to this problem. I'm just going to do Kung Fu, and it always works.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
It's the answer to all of life's problems.
Yeah. Do like a lot of the characters, to be honest. A lot of them were very, very good, well acted characters. A lot of personality to them. Mac was really good. She's just girl who eats all the time, and she's like going to like the watermelon guy who's like selling watermelons just nearby this house for some reason. It's just in the middle of nowhere, but like there's a watermelon stand there. And
I do love that he's credited as the watermelon man.
Yeah, the watermelon man. He was insane. He was crazy. Just like, haha, I want some watermelons. They like pick up the watermelon in his face. He's just like there, like a fish, kind of. Just sat where the watermelon was. And then Mac gets the watermelon. They're like, it looks like you, Mac.
Yeah, I have no clue what that meant.
It was funny. It was just supposed to be funny, I think. Oh dear.
Apparently, none of those girls were like actual actresses before. They were like models, and the director just picked them for the film. But you couldn't tell because they were all really good.
They were all good. Liked them a lot. Liked the acting. Not really a huge cast, but it's a pretty like insular movie in and of itself. It just kind of takes place in this one location. They do enough with it to not make it like so boring throughout. It keeps your attention with the comedy, and I think the weird and wacky things that happen and the great effects I thought were really kind of outstanding. It never really felt like I was watching something from like 77, really, just because I think they knew what they were doing with it, you know, and they knew the kind of vibe they wanted to go for. So with like the weird visual effects, or like there's like a part where one of the girls is looking in the mirror, and then like her face cracks, and then like just fire behind her skin appears, and then it's just like this solid outline with just like the shape of her body, but it's just on fire. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of like good usage of like early digital effects, like where you have like drawings on the screen, like there's like outlines in certain shots. A lot of weird editing choices where there's like blue screen chroma key stuff where it's like all like there's a bit where a character like vanishes under blood, and like they were painted blue, so their entire body like gets cut out. Basically, it's a lot of interesting stuff like that. Loads of like there's a couple of stop motion sequences. Like there's a bit where a guy falls down the stairs, and like that's done by stop motion, and it's ridiculous. A lot of weird slow motion effects and stuff. It's all really impressive for its time. Apparently, it's like was the first Japanese film to use effects like these, and it like pulls them off really well.
Yeah, it does. There's a part where like Melody gets eaten by the piano. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like just colours flashing all the time. This really like obvious green screen. It's hilarious. Like you get to fingers like chomped off by the piano, and she just holds them up. It's just this like snapped off ends of her fingers. Looks really funny. And then like her hand gets bitten off, and then her entire body gets eaten by the piano. That's probably one of my favourite moments in the movie. I really like that.
Yeah, same. I love that bit.
There's a weird like relationship that Angel has with her father, which like I don't know if you guys got this, but like in like the beginning, like he's brought home his new squeeze to show her, so he brings home his new girlfriend. He's like, oh, your mother's been dead for 8 years. Here's a new one. Okay. She's unexpectedly good at cooking, and she sews very well. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And like she's just like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. And Angel's like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. And then it's like, she's like, no, I'm mad now. I'm gonna throw the shawl away that you gave me. And it's like this freeze frame on this like shawl that the girlfriend's given her. And she like runs into her room and she's like oddly happy. And she just like right, she like looks at a picture or something. She writes, she's like, I hate you now, Daddy. She like starts crossing his face out of all her pictures.
Yeah. There's a lot of like weird tonal shifts throughout, which I love. Like where it'll be like bright and happy, like a kids movie, and then suddenly we'll, like crash into this really like absurdist, almost horror stuff. I think the contrast between the two really work well. I love like there's like multiple parts as well where it's really difficult to tell what's like meant to be serious and what's meant to be comedic, and I feel like that's something that just makes the film so entertaining.
Yeah, sometimes it can fall a bit flat for me.
Yeah,
but most of the time, it's pretty good. I liked it a lot. I didn't like when they got out of the bus and they step out of the bus and like the landscapes are all painted and they just say like, oh, what a strange landscape. It feels like we're lost in another world. And it's like, I get it. I understand what you're trying to say here. You don't have to say it. Yeah. That was like one of the only moments that I felt that way though. I thought for the most part, where it's just so absurd. You don't really need to explain things like that, I feel.
No, not at all. Apparently the film, it was commissioned to be made by Toho Studio because they saw like a lot of horror movies in the 70s were being really successful. Apparently like the huge success of Jaws was what like made them want to make their own horror movie. And they like hired this director to make something that was kind of like a reflection of what America was doing in terms of horror movies. And I guess this director just like looked at that and was like, nah, and just did whatever the fuck he wanted to.
More power to him. This is really unique. I really couldn't say that I've seen anything like it. It's very strange and out there. But I really prefer that over something, well, even something like Jaws that I feel like I've seen a lot of in different movies. Or like the way Spielberg directs movies, I feel like I've seen that style in other films with different directors, but this is very strange and very of its own. I think it's very unique.
Yeah, I've not seen another film quite like this.
They just take like everything that they can and they're just like, let's just put it in there. It was almost like Lynchian in that kind of way. It's like, oh well, let's just throw a bunch of shit in there. We'll see what sticks and like what doesn't. It's like really. I do like the score as much as we were like kind of ragging on how much they use that one.
I still like it.
Musical piece. It's like a lot of weird instruments in there. I feel like I felt a sounded like theremin in the score. That's a weird instrument to use in movies, I feel, but it works. It was really good. Very strange instrument. Very like ethereal and kind of spacey, otherworldly type of vibe you get with that instrument.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's crazy that this film also came out the same year as Eraserhead, like two very, very unique movies that are very strange and unlike like anything else ever made. Both came out in the same year.
Yeah. Maybe it was a good year, I guess. Just a good year for weird, abstract art house cinema.
Yeah, apparently
sometimes, sometimes you get these kinds of movies. It doesn't really work. Like it feels like it's being just like, too much, maybe, or like just not engaging enough, or like too abstract, I guess. And again, this did ride the line it definitely did. But yeah, I think he pulled it off. He definitely did, and everything kind of fits together in a neat kind of way. Apart from like maybe the ending, which we talked about.
The thing with this film is I feel like it's one that I completely understand how someone could like really adore this movie, but I also completely understand how someone could really hate it. Like it's very strange and it can be quite abrasive at times. So if you don't find it like funny like I think we do, then I completely understand why you'd hate it.
It's definitely a different kind of taste. I think it's a specific kind of taste for people.
Yeah.
Maybe like even like a couple of years ago, I wouldn't really have liked this. I don't know. I guess I'm just I'm at a time now where like I feel like this kind of thing connects with me a bit more, or like if I'm just a bit more open than perhaps I would have been like when I was like a teenager to like new ideas with movies or like different weird abstract kind of things. But I wouldn't really blame anyone for saying this was like terrible, to be fair, because it is so like it does ride the line.
Yeah, it's got like quite a big cult following now, but like even that, it's like only popped up over the last like 10, 15 years. Before that, it was like apparently like a really small like film that no one had heard of. I think it was only like the late 2000s that people started hearing about it and talking about it. And now in America, it's on the Criterion collection. On BFI Player where we watched it, it actually starts off with the Criterion logo.
Yeah. I would like this Criterion, to be fair. I mean, you could probably get some really like weird and interesting like behind the scenes stuff with it, or like interviews with the people who made it. It feels like that.
I think one of the director's short films are on there.
Oh, nice.
And apparently that's also batshit insane.
Yeah, I would hope so. Sometimes, like, if we were talking about like people who maybe wouldn't find it all that engaging, I kind of maybe in the first go round, I kind of felt that it wasn't super engaging. It was a kind of like a bit bored throughout, and I got that a little bit more on. Well, a little bit less on the second go-round, I think. But I think that was also due to, like, sometimes I just didn't really understand where the movie was going, or, like, the plot seemed kind of thin. It just didn't really feel like it had a goal.
I definitely enjoyed it more the second time around than I did the first time.
Yeah. I probably don't really have all that much more to say on it, to be honest. So, I don't know if you guys did.
No, I've gone through all my notes, Got anything else to add, Darcy?
No.
Says it all.
Nice. I did like the bit where what was it? One of the girls is like, "Hey, Fantasy, it's been so hot today. Let's take a bath together." It's like, okay. Guess we're doing that. All right. Or like when they're like, how do we get out of this house? It's like the house is going crazy on them. I don't know how to get out of here. How do we get out of this house? One's just like, "Oh, I have an idea. Why don't we just ask her directly?" Okay. Yeah.
I like that Kung Fu also tries to kick the door down and it doesn't work that time.
Yeah, the one time a Kung Fu does not favour her.
Yeah.
Never heard of this happening in my life. Kung Fu has always worked. That's what Kung Fu Panda teaches us.
Indeed it is.
Got a problem? Kung Fu. Okay.
What are we going to rate this one out of then?
Do it out of Snowies, because the cat was called Snowy.
Nice. Yeah. Crazy, crazy movie. I would definitely recommend watching it, but I feel like you have to really be into like surreal Japanese sort of shit to enjoy it. Yeah, I guess I give it like a 7 Snowies out of 10. Maybe I will increase again because it was originally a 6 before rewatching it. So maybe next time around I'd enjoy it even more. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Obviously I watched it twice and I don't think my rating's gonna like improve or decrease really. I think I kind of set on it. But I would also give it a 7 Snowies out of 10. I do really like it a lot. It's very funny and very absurd and interesting.
there's not much to add that you guys haven't really said already. I mean, it was pretty insane, but I like that kind of thing. I like something that is I think it's just Japanese films. I just have a little thing for them. But also the cat was really pretty, so that was fun.
Kawaii.
I mean, I want to say that I liked it more than I did, but like if I'm basing it off of like other films that I've seen, then it's probably going to be a 6.
Yeah, nice. Still a positive rating.
Sorry, I think you cut out. What was the
So
rating?
did
Yeah, you froze. Just gave it a 6.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's the connection. Bad connection. Damn. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. Great. Next up on the docket, fantasy movies. We got my recommendation, so I picked pretty much instantly after I heard we were doing fantasy movies, because this is a movie that I can kind of watch endlessly, never get bored of it. Only grow in my love for it. So, I think, Darcy, you hadn't seen this previously, or?
No, I don't know why actually. It feels like the kind of film that my mum would have liked to watch,
Mhm.
because my mum watches like movies like that, but also like my mum works in a school, so she's probably seen films like that all the time. But no, never seen it.
Yeah, my parents showed it to me all the time as a kid.
Yeah, it's a cult classic. And of course, I'm talking about the movie The Princess Bride, directed by Rob Reiner from 1987. And in The Princess Bride, it's kind of like a fantasy adventure comedy, and it takes place within a storybook of the same name that a grandfather is reading to his sick grandson. And in the book, a farmhand named Wesley falls in love with the fair maiden Buttercup, and Wesley is presumed dead at sea after setting sail to make some money. And then 5 years later, Buttercup is betrothed to this guy called Prince Humperdinck, funny name, and on this adventure, I think they run into just a lot of crazy, quirky characters and face treacherous odds as they try to reunite with one another. I mean, I recommended this movie like after watching it like the week before, even for like maybe the second or third time, and I love it so much. I think it's just like that perfect mix of like really good storytelling, filmmaking, and like just the comedy is off the charts. So it's so funny. It's so funny. And really, really great acting too from basically everyone. I love this has got like some of my favorite characters from any movie in it. But yeah, what did you guys think of The Princess Bride?
Yeah, you haven't seen it before, so do you want to?
Sure. Well, when it first came on, and I don't like that trope where they like do the story within a story, if that makes sense. I don't like the whole, it was a dream, it was a book, it was all this. I didn't like that, but I actually really enjoyed the film. Like, it was really bizarre. Like, I kind of went into it thinking, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, because do you know what? I'm just shit at watching films because I don't like most genres of movie, to be honest. And
Nice.
fantasy's not one that I like, really. And and then about halfway through it, I was like, actually, this is really funny. And I'm still enjoying watching it. Like, I'm watching it and I'm like, what's going to happen now? Go on, Wesley. Go on.
Yeah.
So it was all right, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, this is a film that my parents used to show me quite a lot as a kid. I couldn't actually really remember a lot of it going into the film. Like, obviously, I think I remembered up until it was the what was it? The scene with Wallace Shawn, the actor who he says "You've fallen for one of the classic blunders" line. I remembered up until that scene, and after that, I couldn't really remember much of the film. So rewatching it, it was kind of, some of it was like new to me almost because I like had no memory of it at all. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's a really, really well made movie. Some great writing, great characters, great acting. Like pretty much everything about this film I really enjoy.
Yeah, really good comfort movie. Or like if you're not
Yeah,
really in the mood
definitely.
for something like deep and depressing, I guess, or like you don't want to think too hard, this is like the definition of like a
They
like when
call it a
people say like it's
popcorn
kind of a
film,
turn
right?
your brain off kind of movie, but it's not. But it's just like it's easygoing and it's lighthearted and it's just so much fun, you know. I think that maybe I was kind of like you, Darcy, on my first go round, where I was kind of thinking, well, it's like a story within a story. Like this is not happening to the people who are actually in the movie. It's a story that they're reading, so it doesn't really have much consequence to these characters. But I think now that I've watched it so many times, I feel like it's more about the story and how it affects like the people who are reading it. So it's just like this grandfather reading to his grandson that maybe like the grandson's a bit apprehensive. He doesn't really want to see the grandfather. He kind of finds him a bit boring, codgery perhaps. They don't really like get on like super well. They're not really that close. But then as the story progresses, like the grandson gets more invested in the story, and I think it's a lot about like the power of storytelling and how people can connect over like experiencing stories together and how that can affect them and their relationships. I
To be
think
fair,
I really get so
I
much
felt
out
like
of that.
that kid. I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was like, well, I was kind of interested, but I was just laughing at things because I was like, what on earth? And then the more he was getting invested in it, I realised that I was like being him. I was like channeling my own, like, go on then. Are they going to kiss? What are they going to do? What are they going to do? And it's like, who's going to win? It was just like, what
like
the
stop
hell?
the story. Like, oh, is this a kissing book?
Yeah, I became like 6 years old.
Like, yeah, that was like me when I was like that age as well. Because that's gross.
Yeah. I love those scenes where it's Peter Falk reading to Fred Savage. Those scenes are so sweet and wholesome, especially like right at the end where there's the callback to the opening of the story. Yeah, it's a great way to frame the movie. It really adds to like the storybook feel of all of it.
Yeah, where he's like, oh, you know what, Grandpa, you could come over tomorrow and read it again if you want. I guess that would be okay with me. Because he just loves the story so much now. And then the grandpa's like, as you wish, because that's what Wesley always said to Buttercup. Oh, it's so sweet.
Yo.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
It's so
So
lovely.
wholesome.
I just love it, yeah. Rob Reiner, he also, like, this was like a couple of years after he directed This is Spinal Tap, which I also watched for the first time quite recently. It's a very different kind of movies. That was more like a mockumentary, whereas this is just a straight up like fantasy comedy. But I think these are the only movies I've seen from him, but he's a bloody good director of, like, this is the bar. He's so good at like directing, especially like just actors. I think got on really well, and the dynamics are so believable, and the chemistry was just they were all really clicking. I think is it Robin Wright who plays Buttercup, and Carrie HOWL'S plays, I've probably butchered that name, but he plays the man in black, aka Wesley. They like fell in love during the filming, or like they were really like they were genuinely smitten with each other when they first met. I think their chemistry really shows throughout the movie.
Yeah,
I'm always
definitely.
really engaged with them. Maybe a problem I had with it on the first few goes round was like Buttercup didn't really seem to have much agency. Felt like she was more like a character that like things happen to, rather than like affecting the story itself. Like she's kind of the damsel in distress. And I think now, maybe at select few moments that bothers me a tiny bit, but mostly I think it feeds into the kind of like fantasy trope that the storybook is so like ripe with anyway, where it's like she is the damsel in distress and they've got to save her. It's like a classic tale.
Yeah, definitely, because it does feel like a classic, like a fairy tale almost. But I feel like the film also, past like capturing that classic like fairy tale sort of feeling, it also feels almost like a classic film serial, sort of like the stuff that like Indiana Jones and Star Wars was inspired by, like the basic nature of like this like the swashbuckling, the damsel in distress characters, like, and obviously the quite obvious composite shots and like a lot of the sets looking like pretty obviously not real. It all adds to this film, like gives it its own unique charm, which I think just is constantly captivating.
Yeah, I love the sets. I love the part where like they're climbing up the cliff and it's so obvious that like they're on a wire because like they can't climb up the rope, but it's like is it Andre the Giant's feet are just like hanging there and they're not moving at all. It's just so obvious, but it's so funny. I don't think like he's like a really famous wrestler who unfortunately died of heart congestion. But I loved his character so much. Was it Fezzik? Yeah, he died at like 46. It's so sad. Yeah, and I don't think he even knew English when he was filming. So like they had to, like Rob Reiner had to like go over his lines with him, or like he had to record himself saying his lines, and Andre would just like listen to the lines and like as he was filming or like before he filmed. So he would like be able to convince people that he was actually having conversations with these people, even though he didn't really understand what was being said to him or like what he was saying. But he played the part so well. I think he was fantastic.
Yeah, he does. Apparently Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to be in the role at one point.
Yeah, I heard that. Probably wouldn't have been as endearing if Arnie were there, perhaps.
I also read I think it was Liam Neeson went to audition, and when Rob Reiner found out he was only like 6'4", apparently Rob Reiner just burst out laughing in his face.
Oh man. Oh dear. Yeah. As we were talking about the sets and like when they get up to like the cliff. That's such a funny scene as well, where like they're sailing to the cliff, and then Wallace Shawn just bursts out, it's like, over there, the cliffs of insanity. Such funny lines like that. Who names the cliffs that? Or like when they get up onto the cliff, it's just like this ruined building, and it looks so fake, but it's so fun and just like not fake in like a bad way though. Like you clearly see that they put effort into like the set and like how they need to build the set to choreograph this fight that Inigo Montoya and Wesley have. Inigo Montoya played obviously by Mandy Patinkin, one of my favourite characters in anything ever. He's so good. He's so much fun. And his whole, like, he's got this backstory where like Count Rugen, one of the villains, like killed his father and he got 6 fingers. So he's like, oh, when I see him, I'm going to say, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Such an iconic line.
I love that guy.
Yeah. That
He's so
classic
good.
line. I've heard so many people quote it. Like anytime I've brought up The Princess Bride to people, they just quote that line.
I did that for an intro for this podcast.
Yeah,
one time.
I remember.
But yeah, they choreographed that fight, and it took like months, and I believe is actually those actors doing the fight. That's what they wanted to do. It's so good, such a great fight. It's like dancing, the fluidity of it. So nice.
It is really good. I think the only bits they didn't do was like when they're like backflipping and stuff, but the rest of it they all did. And you can really tell that the actors worked incredibly hard. They had like fencing instructors who like taught them how to do it. It was inspired by a lot of the old like I said, the classic film series. Apparently, like Douglas Fairbanks and Errol Flynn movies. The writer watched a lot as a kid, and yeah, it's all so good.
I do love Wallace Shawn. I think he's a great actor. If you guys haven't seen the movie My Dinner with Andre, it's pretty hard to get, honestly. But if you have a way of getting that movie, he puts on a fantastic performance in that. And he also puts on a fantastic performance in this, as Vicini is so over the top and just cartoonish. He's just constantly saying like inconceivable every opportunity. is there's a part where like they climb up the cliff and he's like, he's alive? Inconceivable. And then Inigo just says, you keep using that word, I do not think it means what you think it means.
Apparently, a lot of people around him, anytime, like he said, like in an interview ages ago, that anytime he makes like a small error or something, like he drops something, people shout inconceivable to him.
It's a classic line.
Yeah.
I love his like face off with Wesley, where he's just like rattling off like a bunch of nonsense about like how he can't, like there's poison in one of the cups, and he's like saying like which cup he should choose, and it's like, oh well, using what I know from what I know of you, I can clearly not choose the cup in front of you, but then like you're the kind of man who would do this, so I can't choose the cup that's in front of me. And then and obviously the great iconic line where he's just like, oh, you fool, you fell victim to one of the classic blunders. We say that all the time. It's so much fun. It's so funny.
Yeah, that is a great scene.
And then his death is just like hilarious because it's just like laughing over the top, and then he just freezes and then falls out of the screen, out of the frame.
Apparently, Danny DeVito was like gonna get that role at one point, and like Wallace Shawn was like the second choice or something. So even though he got the role, he was like super nervous that he was gonna get fired and get replaced by Robert De Niro. So in that scene especially, apparently you can like see him sweating because he was just like so nervous that he'd like fuck up and get removed from the set and like removed from the film.
But he's iconic now.
Yeah.
Can't imagine anyone in that role but him.
Did you
I
say
love Danny
Robert De
DeVito.
Niro?
No, not
Yeah,
Robert
did
De
say
Niro.
Robert De Niro. He
Danny
did say Robert De
DeVito.
Niro.
You did
You
say
did
Robert
say
De Niro.
Robert De Niro.
Okay,
Yeah, it's been a long day. I meant Danny DeVito.
To be fair, I love Danny DeVito, but
He wouldn't
I
have
can't see it.
been
Yeah,
it.
it doesn't suit, does it?
No.
I don't even know who this other man is, but he suited him.
Yeah. Guys in every Pixar film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did say, yeah. He has that voice, doesn't he? I suppose.
Yeah, such a recognisable voice. He's a great actor. I do love him a lot. Probably couldn't really picture Danny DeVito in this role, honestly. Just
No,
like from what I
even
know
me.
him of, from what I know of him now, it's like, oh, he's the guy from, you know, the Matilda and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I can't really. I think Wallace Shawn does a fantastic performance with it. He's so good.
Yeah, but that's like I couldn't imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Fezzik. Like, it had to be Andre the Giant, and he fits the role so well.
Yeah. Sportsmanlike. Love their face off when Andre the Giant and what was it? What's his name? Fezzik. Yeah, him and Wesley are like facing off. There's like a part, I don't know if you guys caught this. Pisses me off, it does. It pisses me off so much. He's like, oh, why'd you wear a mask? And Wesley's like, oh, I find them very comfortable. I think everybody will be wearing them in the future. I'm like, that's too far. You can't say that. That's too far. Watching it now in this context with everything that's gone on with the pandemic, I'm like, it hits too close to home.
Yeah. Maybe they predicted it.
Damn you, Rob Reiner.
The film's obviously based on a book written by William Goldman, who also wrote the script for the film. Apparently, like, he wanted Rob Reiner to direct the film after watching This Is Spinal Tap. He knew, like, instantly he was the right guy to direct it. And yeah, I think he's a great pick. I can't imagine someone else directing this movie. I think he did such a great job of it.
Yeah, he nails it. Nails the tone. It needs to be this silly and goofy, but it's also really high production value, really great sets, really great costumes, color palette, fantastic. It was almost kind of reminding me of like some of those Monty Python movies, like Life of Brian, in the way it's kind of like, it's just like very natural lighting. It's clear they shot in just locations. They did a lot of location scouting for it. A lot of the scenery looks fantastic. Just like open plains and hills. All that. Really nice to look at.
Yeah, it reminds me, the whole film reminds me quite a lot of a Terry Gilliam movie, which has like most of the Monty Python crew in it, called Time Bandits. That's kind of similar sort of style, like this fantasy sort of film with like a great sense of humor. And speaking of which, the film is so funny. I think William Goldman's script is like incredible. Apparently it was like the Writers Guild of America picked as like the 84th best screenplay of all time. And it is like, it's just a really well written movie.
It is. It's fantastic. I think like one part I didn't really like from, like we were talking about like the Monty Python movies. I think there was something that was like ripped straight out of The Life of Brian, where it's like this clergyman who's like marrying Buttercup and Humperdinck. He's like, marriage is what brings us together today. I'm like, that's straight out of The Life of Brian.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's still like kind of funny, but I'm like, that's just that. And it was done better in Life of Brian, so I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I really liked the character of Miracle Max, played by Billy Crystal. He was really funny in the film. Has like incredible makeup on him, where he's like unrecognizable.
Yeah, I saw it the first time, and like the credit came up for Billy Crystal. I was like, what? Unrecognizable he is, but he's so funny. Apparently, like Rob Reiner had to like leave the shooting while like he was doing his scenes because he was laughing too much. Like there's the part where like they bring Wesley's corpse after he's been like essentially tortured to death with this weird sucky machine and that sucked the life from him with one like 50 sucks. They're like, no, don't put it up to 50 sucks. And this screams echo throughout the land. And then like they bring him to Billy Crystal and he's like, I've seen worse. This man is dead. And he's like trying to like say, well, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to, or like it's not for a noble cause. Apparently, like when Mandy Patinkin said, "This is noble, sir," he's like stifling a laugh. You could tell.
Yeah, just like in Revenge of the Sith, where Ewan McGregor's trying not to laugh while talking about Anakin killing the children.
Yes. Kill the younglings. Yeah, fantastic acting from Billy Crystal, especially because I didn't really know that it was him. And such like a small part of the movie. There really are no small parts in this movie. I think everyone's got like different parts of the movie that they love, and just like can quote endlessly, and just like favorites differ from person to person. I think it is a testament to how great the script is and just how well the movie is put together.
Apparently it wasn't like when it came out, it wasn't a big box office success, but it's like when it came out on home video, it just became this massive cult classic. And I know so many people who've seen and loved this movie.
Yeah, I would like the Blu-ray at some point. I only have the DVD, and it didn't have the subtitles on it, unfortunately. So sometimes I couldn't understand what people were saying. Not often, but every so often. Like maybe like Andre the Giant with his like really thick French accent.
Yeah.
Sometimes the words could muffle a bit.
I think the only thing I'm not really into in the film is the music. I feel like it sounds kind of cheap and synthesized. It's like kind of obvious that it was all done on keyboards rather than actually having like a full orchestra do it, which is a bit of a shame. I feel like it kind of cheapens it a little bit. I don't think like the composition or anything's that bad. It was like all composed by Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits. I think the composition's all right, but I just don't like the fact that it wasn't like done using like full orchestras or anything. It kind of, I don't know, just ruined it a little bit for me.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Perhaps it would have worked better with a more impressive score. Maybe just perhaps if it was done with an orchestra, I could see it being a bit more like impactful. I'm thinking about like the scene where Inigo's like holding his sword up and praying to his father to like help him. That's such like a fantastic shot and scene. And like maybe the score, if it was like better, I guess. I hate to use that word, but like maybe if it was just a bit fuller with the arrangement and instrumentation, it could have been a bit more impactful.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I feel like it works pretty well, because it is a cheesy movie, and it is like just trying to ham it up a lot. So sometimes it could work.
Do we have anything else to add to this movie, or we could go on to ratings?
Oh god, loads. I like when the grandpa says, "When I was your age, television was called books."
Ha 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 ha. Baby boomer joke.
Yeah. That was funny though, and I liked it. Dear.
You're a baby boomer then.
Maybe I am, sorry. He's saying, was it Inigo saying his line over and over again throughout the movie? My name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepared to die. You almost think it wouldn't have that big of an impact when he actually says it to Count Rugen, but it's such a great moment, I think.
It was so
And
satisfying.
Yeah, it's great.
Especially when he's just saying it over and over again. He just like lets himself get stabbed in the arms, and it's like, oh damn, what a
But
slimy
he gets so
move.
hyped up
Just
each time he says it. He's like on death's door, and then by the time he gets to the final time, he's like a brand new human being.
Yeah.
It's a knife thrown
Apparently the
into his
actor-
stomach. And he's like, what a slimy fucking move from that guy.
Apparently, the actor during that scene, he was thinking about his own father because his father died of cancer, and he was just like thinking of basically the villain being like the cancer that killed his dad. And he apparently, like when it was over, he felt like this massive weight taken off of him.
You could tell, to be honest. You could tell he sold that performance so well, especially like when Rugen's like running away from him. He like runs through a door and then locks it behind him, and he's like, Mandy Patinkin's like throwing himself against this door, and he's screaming for like Fezzik to help him, and he's like guttural screaming like to help, and it's so believable, and like you feel desperation in his voice. Fantastic acting. I really like him a lot. I think he's a fantastic actor.
Apparently people on the streets quote that to him at least 2 or 3 times a day, like that iconic line.
Yeah. It's iconic. Yeah, I could go on about it, but I think we'll go on to the ratings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we rate this out of blunders?
Oh yeah. We shall.
Yeah, this is a really good movie. I definitely want to rewatch it again sometime because it's just a lot of fun. I kind of wish I didn't wait so long to rewatch it because I haven't watched it since I was quite young. But it's a lot of fun and I would highly recommend it. I think on Letterboxd I rated it like a 7, but I'm kind of teetering over the edge to maybe like an 8. Like 8 blunders out of 10, like a low 8, high 7 maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I say, watched it a lot of times now. It's kind of like a comfort movie for me. I could watch it just as easily tonight as I could, like, seeing as I watched it, like, you know, the other day even, or like even yesterday I think I watched it. I could just watch it over and over again. I get so much out of it. I think it's just super well done fantasy, comedy, the works, brilliant acting, some of my favourite characters, and yeah, I do like the part where Buttercup thinks she's been married, and then like she's like being walked back to her room, and she says, "I won't see you again since I'm killing myself when we reach the honeymoon suite," and like the guy's just like,
Relatable.
"Won't that be nice?" Won't that be nice? Yeah, obviously. Brilliant movie. Love it so much. One of my faves. I'll give it a 10. Wait, what was it?
Blunders.
Blunders.
10 blunders out of 10. 10 classic blunders.
High praise indeed, Max. I actually would watch this film again.
Yes,
I
indeed.
actually thought it was actually quite a lot of fun, quite funny. See, I didn't rate either of the. Actually, I didn't rate any of the 3 films that we've watched on Letterboxd, so I'm sort of like winging it as I'm going along today. But yeah, I want to say somewhere between 7 and 8, but I think 8 might be just a touch too high. So 7.5. Blunders out of 10.
Nice.
Very nice.
That brings us on to the final pick.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Darcy's film.
It's like I was waiting to say it, and then like nothing happened, so I just watched blankly as no one said anything, and realised it was my turn
It's your
to go.
movie.
So in typical weeaboo fashion, I have chosen a Studio Ghibli film, because why wouldn't I? Ghibli. No one really knows how to pronounce it, unless Chris is about to tell me.
I just say Ghibli normally.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's right or wrong.
I think there is, but it's a bit like GIF and GIF. No one can agree. So yes, I've chosen Howl's Moving Castle from 2004, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. I can't even say his name now because I had it in my head and then I said it out loud. About a young girl called Sophie who's been cursed by a witch, and she gets taken in by a castle who is owned by a really narcissistic wizard type, and she has to find a way to break the curse.
Yeah. By a hottie. Gets taken in by a hottie named Howl.
Yes, a hottie and a flame.
Yeah. 2 hotties.
2 hotties.
Yeah. And the kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
3
and the
hotties.
young child. 3 hotties. Cancel me. Cancel me.
The English dub has Billy Crystal returning in the second film of this week.
Does.
He
Yeah.
plays Calcifer.
And we have Christian Bale in this one, who
Yeah.
doesn't sound like Batman, which is nice.
Although he does have like a couple of growls because apparently he was like testing out his Batman voice in the studio.
No way. No fucking way.
You guys watch it with the English dub then?
We did.
Yeah,
I think we did, but that was because I was busy doing something, so it was easier to watch it in English. But I normally don't watch them in English because I hate watching them in English.
Mm. It's a decent dub, I think. I've watched it once before with the dub.
I think it's quite good.
They do a pretty good job with it. I watched it with just subtitles this time around. The original Japanese voice acting, very good from everyone involved there. Fantastic animation, as you'd expect from a Miyazaki movie. This is probably not my favourite of his. I do think it's very solid, but I think that the animation is like stellar. I think it's fantastic. So beautiful. A lot of just like really intricate details that he's able to put in like different places. Like there's like a hat shop that Sophie works at, and like you see just the backgrounds with like all the hats on the walls and the different patterns and colours that go around the walls. Just looks fantastic. Or like I'm especially thinking of like Howl's bedroom, which is like just adorned with loads of like gizmos and gadgets and twinkly jewels. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, you can kind of tell why or how it takes so long for Miyazaki to make a film, because he is just a perfectionist, and that is like shown in every single frame of this film. Like pretty much every frame looks like a painting. Like the backgrounds, like every single like building, room, anything in the film is just filled with so much personality and detail. It's just incredible.
Yeah, all the food looks delicious.
Oh, I know, right? Even the bacon, and I don't even really like bacon.
Yeah, that's just Studio Ghibli for you. The food always looks good in their films.
You always want to eat all the food that they're putting out. Why does real food not look that good? There's like a part where Howl is cutting a piece of bread, and that is like some of the most satisfying animation I've ever seen. It looks amazing. Just cutting this loaf of bread. I'm like, oh man, give me some, please.
I like the part where he goes full emo when he accidentally dyes his hair, because that it's just a bit of me through and through.
Yeah, because then he dyes it red, doesn't he?
It's like orange. he's like, Sophie, you've messed with my potions. And he gets all like bratty about it.
Yeah. So the first time you realise he's actually just like basically a child. Like he's so narcissistic and like into himself. But before he was like this god creature. Just like he's like, oh, I'm depressed now. I just make a load of slime everywhere.
Just like the Invisible Kid.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like that movie.
On a side note, I had the pleasure of rewatching that film yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't recommend.
No, we don't need this
No,
again.
Did it suck? Did it suck again?
It was so bad. It was even worse.
Yeah, but that's because you didn't have the pleasure of watching it with two other people that were just taking the piss out of it the whole time.
I don't want to watch that movie again.
No.
I watched this movie
I can't believe we're even talking
quite
about
a lot.
it.
I've watched Howl's Moving Castle quite a lot. I was kind of surprised how much I've actually watched the movie. Like, I watched it once, and then I watched it again because I was with somebody who wanted to watch it, and then they fell asleep immediately. So I just had to watch it, and then again for the marathon. It's not like a chore really, because it's just so well put together and just a beautiful movie, I think.
Yeah, this is my second time watching it now, and I've enjoyed it both times. But I enjoyed a majority of Miyazaki's films. I think he's just a great director. Like you said, this isn't my favorite of his films, but I definitely think this is just kind of him, kind of at his best. It just captures everything that I love about his movies. The films at points are very wild and kind of surreal almost, but it's very simple and pure. The creative designs throughout are just all fantastic. Things like the battleships, the castles, all the characters. It's all just incredible and super interesting.
Yeah, really creative stuff going on. I do like the character of the Witch of the Waste. It was just she's like, I'm gonna come into this hat shop and I want a hat, and then Sophie's like, we're closed. So she's like, oh, well, I'm going to turn you into an old lady then.
Yeah, she's well bitter, isn't she?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about that scene where she's when she goes back to her old age or whatever, and she becomes this weird she
gets her
little
power
creature
taken away.
who's like, oh, is that Howl?
But she's still a dick. The entire time she's just a dick. Even when she gets her powers taken away and they're like, we're going to adopt her and she's got to be our grandma.
I love the character of Calcifer, who's this talking flame.
Oh, he's my fave.
It's a bit where he refuses to cook for Sophie because he's he won't cook for anyone other than Hal. That's really funny.
Yeah, really great character. He was made the castle move. He was the one.
He's literally the glue that keeps the shit together, basically.
Without him, it would just be Howl's Castle.
I love him, especially because he's got that little line. He's got those two iconic lines that are in every tattoo of Calcifer ever. Especially about the one about bacon. But it's not that one. I like the one where he's like, she likes my spark, and I'm like, oh, yeah. I just think he's so cute. I just love him. He's like a little flame, but
he's also a dick.
You want to hug him.
Yeah, he can be a bit of a dick, but he's a lovable dick.
Yeah.
Things I never thought Chris would say out loud.
He's a lovable dick. He is. There's Turnip as well, who's just this scarecrow that she pulls out of the bush. It doesn't talk. It's just the scarecrow that bounces along on its stick and finds different items for her. And she's like, oh, you may be a turnip, but you're a good turnip. May you find happiness.
It's like the weird hopping that he does, because obviously he can't walk, and it kind of scares me, I'm not going to lie.
And in the end,
cute.
it's just oh, you know what? He was a prince, and your kids brought him back to life.
So weird. She could have just done that from the beginning, and...
Yeah, he's like, I'm in love with you. She's like, no. All right, see ya.
What did you expect?
Yeah, I know. The cleaning scenes, some of the best cleaning scenes in any movie, if you want to go that far as to say that, really satisfying when like Sophie's like cleaning the castle. It's like there's a scene in like you guys seen Roma from Alfonso Cuarón. Like the beginning of that movie is like just water washing along these like tiles, and that kind of reminds me of like when she's washing the castle a lot, just like really satisfying like water movements and how she's able to like it's like when you clean your own house and like afterwards you're like, oh man, this is so like nice, it's so satisfying to just be in a clean space. That's exactly like it emulated that feeling so well.
Yeah, definitely. This film's a lot warmer than Roma. I feel very cold and empty watching that film. Whereas this, like, it's really wholesome and warm, as I think pretty much all of Miyazaki's and Studio Ghibli's movies are. They, like, they're always filled with, like, great messages, like this film kind of being, like, about being better than you think you actually are. I think Miyazaki is great at telling these stories with messages and morals without ever getting to a point where it feels preachy or it talks down to its audience. I think it's just all really well written and stuff.
Very fantastical, obviously. But this, it's just, he knows how to make his movies feel like they're from another world and like they are very magical, just the experience of them. I think he does it so well. I don't know how he comes up with these ideas. It's just they're so out there. It's, how do you even like conceptualize this kind of thing? It's really fantastic. There's the part where like Howl just like does a spell and like makes the castle bigger because like they've got so many like people that they need to house now. So like he just makes the castle bigger and it looks amazing. Especially like just the spell happening. You see it before your eyes and everyone's like in awe of it. And you're like, yeah, this is fantastic. It's beautiful.
And it's like this is one of the few Miyazaki films which is actually based on like a book by Diana Wynne Jones. She like was very strict about people adapting her novels, and like only 2 films have been made based on books by them. Both of them ended up being by Studio Ghibli, and I think Miyazaki did a great job of taking this book and kind of injecting his own personality into it, because this very much feels like something he created. Like, if you didn't know it was based on a book or anything like that, you probably wouldn't be able to tell, because it feels very much like the sort of thing he does.
I wonder what the second book is now.
Oh, that film Earwig, the 3D.
I bet she's absolutely fuming. Imagine going from Howl's Moving Castle to whatever the fuck that film is.
Yeah.
It's a very high concept idea. I do agree that it does feel like a Miyazaki movie, because he does a lot of high concept of things. Like I think of like Spirited Away, that's very like weird and wonderful, and it's very much like Howl's Moving Castle in that kind of way.
Yeah, I think out of all of Miyazaki's films, this is the one that makes me think of Spirited Away the most, in just how like magical and like warm the whole thing feels.
Yeah, I think Spirited Away probably reminds me the most of Spirited Away.
I was thinking the same thing there, Max, to be fair. But I see where he's coming from. He's looking at me like, come on.
And then outside of Spirited Away, this is like
what you're doing, Tommy?
Well, I don't know. I think Kiki's Delivery Service has the same sort of vibe. It's like very magical, but
that's
this
more
one
like
has
simplistic
more, like,
in its concept, I think.
Yeah, I know.
This
what
one's
you mean.
much more like creative and strange.
Just I feel it, you know. Like imagine you've got this cute cat, got a broom, you can fly.
That being said, I think Kiki's Delivery Service might be my favourite Miyazaki movie.
I like that one a lot.
I really love that movie.
Yeah, that film was great.
My favourite's not even a Miyazaki movie, and I found that out the hard way.
Was it Earwig?
Sake. No, yeah, definitely. No, it's The Cat Returns. It's not made by Miyazaki.
I'm just putting that movie down so much.
I never looked into it. I just assumed they were all by the same person. Yeah.
Is that about cats returning?
It's actually supposed to be a sequel to Whispers of the Heart, which is actually my least favourite film in the world, because I hate that film so much.
It's actually a sequel to The Cat in the Hat.
You know what? Yeah.
Mike Myers returns.
Actually, I think I would prefer it to be a sequel to that. I don't recommend Whisper of the Heart to anybody, to be honest. So
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah,
Oh,
same.
oh
I want to
my
watch
God.
all the Studio Ghibli movies. There's not actually many I've not watched now.
No.
I had like
but
such a miserable time watching Ponyo.
do you know what? Ponyo's. Ponyo.
I love the animation. It's so
Bloody
good,
Ponyo.
but it's
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh
gorgeous,
god, it's
but-
so baby. It's such a baby movie.
It's a bit of a weird one, I think. But
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the film he made after Howl's Moving Castle as well.
oh, what a waste. But then he didn't actually come up with Howl's Moving Castle either, so what can you say?
Oh, does he have a single original
Not a
idea
single
in his
original
brain?
idea. Ponyo was that idea, and then Pixar stole it.
Yeah, with Luca.
I'm actually excited to see it though. I'm not gonna pretend.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what you guys think about it.
Oh yes, indeedy.
I didn't like the part where Sophie said, one thing about getting old is that nothing surprises you anymore. I was just like, what do you mean? Like, you just got turned old. You just got magicked into being old.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have the experience of growing old. You don't have that. Like, why are you saying that nothing surprises you anymore? You were young yesterday.
Yeah.
Saying that though,
I think after you get turned old by a witch, I don't think anything would surprise you
actually
anymore.
that is true.
But then it
But
does.
like that-
It does surprise her. She's like, oh,
Oh
talking
yeah,
fire.
because
This
she's
is
like,
insane.
oh shit, I'm an old lady now. But like, does no one else just feel that in general? Like, I'm nearly 26 and I'm like, oh, nothing surprises me anymore.
No,
No, I've just run out of life, obviously.
can't relate. Sorry. Like this movie, first time I watched this movie, I was like, man, this is beautiful. Every time I watch something that's like just trying to do something different, which I think maybe this is kind of like a lot of other Miyazaki movies. First time I watched this, I wasn't like blown away by it. I'm still not really blown away by it. I'll be honest. I do love it, but I don't think it's like up there with, I guess, like Spirited Away or Mononoke or Kiki's Delivery Service even, which
Oh,
I
I should have
do
picked
love so much.
Mononoke. I like that film
Next
a lot.
time.
Yeah.
Next time.
Studio Ghibli is on the marathon list. So.
Oh, I've got so many choices.
There was like one part of like it was just a minor thing that I noticed, like an inconsistency in the animation, which I thought was quite strange. But it was like the men knock on the castle door, and then when it shows the door, it doesn't have the dial on it that goes to like the different places. But then when like the kid goes to answer, the dial is there. I was like, that seems like a weird oversight.
Oh,
Whatever.
Maybe they're on like a time constraint or something.
Maybe.
You would think
Like
they'd
the
be more
part where
thorough.
like they're struggling up the staircase to the castle, or like to like the palace where they're meeting like the queen or whatever, and like the Witch of the Waste looks disgusting because she's so like overweight and fat, like sweat's just dripping off of her and like pulls, and she's like that was gross.
At this point, I barely had any notes for this film, so I'm just kind of letting you just run through what you have.
Yeah, I'm pretty short on those too. I just think it's very solid. Honestly, I think it does what it
Is there
wants to
anything
do.
else?
A lot of people
Just-
love this movie a lot, and I get it.
Yeah.
I get the hype.
Yeah.
Is there anything else anyone wants to say?
Don't like the part where Hal says, "What's the point of living if you aren't beautiful?" Oh, okay.
He's not wrong though. He ain't wrong.
No, he is wrong. Oh, I'm
Should we-
ugly. Guess I should just die. Okay.
That's exactly it. That is the attitude.
We'll do it. We'll do the ratings now then. Out of turnips, because I like that guy.
Yeah.
Turnip. Woohoo!
That's what I was going to say.
Nice.
I was.
Turnip boy.
Yeah. This is a.
Don't lie.
This is a really good movie. I love Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli. It's just a really beautiful, warm like incredibly well made movie that I enjoy a lot. Definitely prefer Spirited Away over it, which is like one of my favourite movies of all time. But this is still like a really great movie. I'm going to give it 8 turnips out of 10.
Yeah. I won't watch it again for a while because I've watched it. I feel I've got enough out of it from these 3 watches. And watching the English dub as well, which is good, but not as good because it never can be really. I don't know, except maybe with Ninja Dragon. But yeah, love it.
To be fair, what I will say about Studio Ghibli is their English dubs are always decent.
Yeah.
Like, if I have to watch like one of their films with an English dub, I never have a problem with it. Whereas a lot of anime, the English dub is just atrocious.
Yeah, they put the effort in. You can tell.
A lot of the time they have like fairly big actors as well.
Yeah. Great movie again. 8 turnips out of 10.
I feel like for picking this movie, I feel like I should.
Don't feel obligated.
You know, you say nice things. I really do love this movie. Don't get me wrong. I was sitting through thinking about all the. Let's be honest. When I was thinking of fantasy, Ghibli giblets were the only like company of film that I even wanted to consider. I had loads in my mind because I was like, oh, we could watch Spirited Away, we could watch Totoro, we could watch Mononoke, and I was like, oh, I don't know what one to pick. But for some weird reason, I was just thinking about Howl's Moving Castle and just how like I just find it so interesting and like fun. So I was like, okay, I'll just put that one on there. Although, I mean, it's not my favourite one by any means, but it's probably the one that I find the most like I can sit there and watch it, and it's quite long, but it doesn't feel that long.
Mm-hmm.
I really love this film. I really love this company. I love this man. I love the turnip. I love this fucking flame. I love the other boy. I love the. I love it all. I would probably give it 8.5 turnips out of turnip.
Yeah, not quite as good as Earwig, but a close second.
Oh, of course
Nearly.
not. Nothing's better.
We haven't even watched it, just heard it's bad.
It's amazing.
It could be awesome. We don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, it could be the best thing we've ever seen.
Maybe it is. A little Sunday movie marathon cinema trip to see Earwig when it comes out.
Oh, Chris has a thing in front of him.
Yeah.
Great.
It's time
so
to
we've
go
got a new,
to the wheel.
new marathon for next week.
Got the wheel.
The wheel decides. Hope it's not something terrible. Because I
I'm
can't
so
take
scared. All right, we're good.
Hope it's not the Bourne movies again.
I hope they're off there.
It's the
Yeah.
Fast and Furious.
I mean, I'd be
movies.
surprised because I removed them.
They got back on. They got
It
back.
is actually. Do you know what? I'm actually so bloody excited for this one.
Oh, what is it?
The High School Musical movie.
Oh yeah!
I love that second film so much.
Oh, yes.
From England. Oh my god, I'm so excited, guys. I don't think you actually understand.
I don't really want to watch them, to be honest. Can we do another one?
Don't you dare veto this. This is this is the best thing ever.
We're gonna do the High School Musical movies 1, 2, and 3 senior year. Wow, what a bunch! I mean, I haven't watched them in a while, so excited.
I've never even watched the third one, so that's going to be a
I've seen it
fun
once.
experience.
It's got a great Zac Efron song in it. Can't wait.
Oh, I think I know the one you're talking about,
Yeah,
and I'm ready to bring it up again.
we're ready. So yeah, next episode 38. Do that next week. We won't skip another week. Don't worry. We're gonna do the High School Musical movies. Can't wait.
I'm so excited. I'm not
hype.
even joking.
Hype. Thank you so much for listening. We got our social media accounts, of course, for the Sunday Movie Marathon. Maybe you're listening to this on YouTube, so you already know that it's the Sunday Movie Marathon on YouTube. We're also on Spotify. I think Apple, I believe. We've got our Twitter account. at Sunday Movie Pod. Facebook is at Sunday Movie Marathon. I recently changed the banner for our Facebook with like this shitty banner app, but yeah, it looks all right. It's okay.
Love it.
It's better than just like the profile picture being the same. And we've got Letterboxd, which is at Sunday MM, capital S, capital MM. Thank you again for listening. Sunday Movie Marathon forever and a day. We did it. Fantasy movies. All pretty great. Thank you again. And again and again.
Yes.
Cheers. Later. And also, next week, yes, High School Musical, but also probably discussion on Luca as well, I think, if you guys want to watch that. But yeah, see you later, alligator.